Okay, so one of the questions that I get more than anything of late is, I've lost the tag on my blueberry bush. Is there any way for me to tell what type of blueberry bush that I have? Of the 25 bushes that we have, some in pots, and I wanted to grow this year in pots, I left these blueberries out all season, and you can see how they're doing right now. They're doing actually pretty darn good, considering that none of these were covered. Now, one thing I will say is, they're all in the ground. You see all these pots, every last one of them, the roots are in the ground. So what I wanted to do is do a series of videos for those who are asking that question, what type of blueberry bush do I have? I've lost my tag for my blueberry bush and I have no idea what it is. So what I'm gonna do, out of the 12 varieties that I have on hand, I'm gonna give you some characteristics to look for, and we're gonna do a series of videos with our blueberries. We're gonna take it through February all the way through December to let you see what these bushes do and how they should look at these times of the year. This is the month of February, Georgia Zone 8A, and these are our early bloomers. This is a Hello Darling. All these brown flowers here, they're done. They're done. That's from the frost that we just had. We just got down to 14 degrees and we were in freezing temperatures when this baby broke bud. We had 2 weeks of warm weather followed by 2 weeks of extreme cold. So I'm gonna lose a lot of the berries on this bush here. I've already understood that that's gonna happen. We're not gonna even worry about this, but this is why succession planning is so important when we're talking about our blueberry bushes. Now, if all I had was these Hello Darlings, most of my harvest will be done for the year, because if you come over here, you'll see this Hello Darling as well. This is one that we put in. It's been in over a year now. Those are burnt flowers. They're not gonna be any good. But the beautiful part is, this is what we're looking for. And this is the Hello Darling. One of the things that you notice, my Hello Darling, and Hello Darling, all three of my Hello Darling have flowers on them. The difference is between your Southern Highbush, your Northern Highbush, and your Rabbiteye. Your Southern Highbush is gonna be bushy. You see how bushy this is? Now our Sweetheart is a cheat sheet, because our Sweetheart is a combination of a Southern Highbush and a Northern Highbush. So it has some of the same characteristics of our Southern Highbush, but also some characteristics of our Northern Highbush. So we're gonna go over here to our Northern Highbush, and you can see the Northern Highbush has absolutely no leaves on it. Remember, we're talking about how bushy our Southern Highbush is? Our Northern Highbush, she likes to shape up like a vase. So you'll see her thick down at the bottom, and then she'll start to gradually go up. Doesn't bush out like our Southern Highbush. When I prune this year, this will probably be the only branch that I take out. This one branch right here will be the only one that I take out. And that's simply to let that air flow into the center. And this is a Northern Highbush. You see, none of the buds have broken on the Northern Highbush. She's gonna be one of the last to come out of dormancy. She's in complete dormancy. Whereas you can see our Sweetheart, which is a combination of a Southern and a Northern, she still has a few leaves on her, but she's not as full as our Hello Darling, which is a Southern. She's a true Southern. This is a Northern Southern hybrid, which is our Sweetheart. And she'll bloom twice a year if you have a long enough growing season. Now right here, we have our Bless Your Heart. This is the typical Rabbiteye. You're gonna have a real upright growth habit out of your Rabbiteyes. Now you see the difference between the Rabbiteye and its straight up growth habits and the way that the Northern Highbush has like a vase-like shape, starts small at the bottom and goes out. Now here's another thing that you're gonna notice different between the Rabbiteye, the Northern Highbush, and the Southern Highbush. If you have sprouts, if you see canes coming up from outside on your bed, the correct term for these are called basal shoots. This is the new young productive wood that's gonna be replacing your old wood. Whereas you look over here at the Northern Highbush on the crown, and then it goes upward. So those are the differences. I want you to really pay attention. You see how all of these are coming out of the soil? These are called basal shoots. That's typical of a rabbiteye. You're not going to have that with a northern highbush. A northern highbush is going to have one crown, and then it's going to grow up, and then it's going to spread out like a vase. And we'll come over here back to our southern highbush. And the southern highbush is actually a hybrid between a northern highbush and the wild southern blueberry, and that includes the rabbiteye. So you're going to have the same type of characteristics. You're going to have that basal shoot, but they're more crown-centric, means they won't walk as far as a rabbiteye would. Going back to our rabbiteye, now you can see how this little papery look of the bark right here, how the bark kind of folds off. That's characteristic of a rabbiteye. That's characteristic of a rabbiteye. We'll go to our pink lemonade. We go over here to our pink lemonade, which is a hybrid of a rabbiteye and a southern highbush, and you can see the dominance of that rabbiteye coming through. If you're growing a pink lemonade, you definitely want to have another rabbiteye on hand. And you can see I have these two. This is a Bless Your Heart next to my pink lemonade. So the key to getting the best fruit is having these cross-pollinate. The universal pollinator for the pink lemonade, the Bless Your Heart, and for that matter, any rabbiteye is going to be Brightwell. And I have a Brightwell over there. So the Brightwell is a universal pollinator for all of your rabbiteyes. If you start talking about your northern highbush, this is a Northland here. Duke is going to be the best cross-pollinator for your northern highbush. Now I have Legacy as my cross-pollinator for my northern highbush because Legacy has the longest bloom cycle. So it'll cross-pollinate because it's a northern highbush and southern highbush. They will cross-pollinate with each other. Now here we have our Sweetheart, which is a combination again of a northern and a southern highbush. The Sweetheart will cross-pollinate with our Northland, and it'll also cross-pollinate with our Hello Darling. Down here we have our Lone Bless Your Heart. Now we're going to be adding some additional blueberries in this row over here going into the season, and our pyramid, I'll put my Brightwell here. So now this will have a companion to go on to the Brightwell. The Brightwell also will connect with our Bless Your Heart right here. Because our southern highbush is already popping, let's take a look at some of the flower buds and compare the difference between the southern highbush, the northern highbush, and our rabbiteyes. But you see the shape, how sharp they are. And then we'll go over here to our Northland. You'll see how pointed, more like an acorn shape, those are. And that's characteristics of a northern. We'll come over here to our rabbiteye, and you can see over here to the rabbiteyes, you can see their buds are more rounded. And you can see how they travel down the shoots. So this is the first of our mini series that we're gonna have on I lost my tag to my blueberry bush. Help me find out what bush I have. Just being honest, it would be almost impossible to know the exact bush that you would have without doing a DNA analysis of your plant. Now, what we can do is for sure know if you have a northern, southern, or a rabbiteye. We know we can come up with that. So from there, we'll come up with when they bloom, and that'll be in our next series of when they start blooming. The earlier they are, you know that they're southern highbushes. The middle one's gonna be your rabbiteyes, and then last to bloom are gonna be your northern highbushes. So what we're doing, growing out the box over here.